Hello and welcome back to my workshop. Yes, I said I'm going to do different things than update videos this year, but here we are because things took an unexpected turn and we have been very busy working on many different things recently, but nothing is really ready to make a dedicated video about it. So I thought I'm going to give you a bit of a work in progress insight anyway. First of all, the movie project. For reasons I'm going to explain later, I didn't have a lot of time to work on it myself, but still there has been some valuable progress for the post-production of it. Mainly for these city shots, because they're going to need a background. Back in 2015, when I built this model, I made it as huge as it was possible, basically filling my entire room. It was 3 by 2 meters and I could barely walk around it. So yeah, I made it as big as possible and it was a lot of work. But still, if you just remove the blue screen and put in some background sky there, it looks rather small because it would need to go on much longer in order to resemble this huge city on the column. So we need to add some extension to the background, a set extension. And most of the shots are camera movements, so that's not as easy as a static matte painting. It needs to be something three-dimensional to move with the camera. And I'm not very experienced with that. And yeah, it was a big concern for me. In 2020, when we released the trailer, we made a first effort to solve this problem. Someone helped us to make a rudimentary 3D model and try to track the camera movement and put it in the background. And I think it was good enough for the trailer, but I'm not very happy with the end result for the movie if it looks like this. Because if you speed up the shot, you can see all the buildings are kind of moving into the ground. And also, I was not happy with the style of the architecture in the background. So this was just the quick and dirty way to get the trailer out there. And now we want to do it properly. In late 2024, I met Lucas, who is a professional VFX artist who wants to help us creating these backgrounds. And he has another friend, also called Lucas, who can make professional 3D models. So that's also really great. And those two Lucases have started working with me in February on those 3D set extensions. And at this point it's like a kit, like a collection of various parts we can combine into a background. He extracted all the textures from the actual footages of the real buildings, so the look of it is very close to what I would have built, and we communicated about what kind of structures I would like to see in the background. For a set extension like this, which would be impossible to make practically for me, I think it's a very legitimate use of this technique. And I'm really happy with what the Lucases have done so far. And the next step will be the compositing of this, basically, to put together all the little 3D models into one giant background. And then the other Lucas will track all the camera movements and render those background scenes for me. Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge for me on the post-production. Everything else I basically know how to do, even if it's a lot of work. But this 3D stuff, I couldn't have done it myself. So I'm so glad I finally found a solution for this really difficult topic. So the second big task right now is the development of these light controller boards. If you remember, I presented an early prototype in November in this video, and if you're a Patreon member, you might know that I received a small fund to turn them into a real product this year. But I knew I was going to need help for this because it's a huge task, and very luckily I met András, who's a young, motivated software developer from Hungary, who's with me on this project. And he's doing the front end, basically the user interface of the device, and I'm going to focus on the hardware and the embedded software running on the hardware.
Most of my time so far has been spent on creating a business logic for the application. Basically the way that the application communicates with the hardware that Valentin is making.
András is working with me on this project remotely since January, and it's coming along really well, and it's a very enjoyable collaboration. But yeah, 2 weeks ago he paid me a visit for the first time, and we met up in real life and were able to bring together my hardware and his software and see if they interact as expected. And luckily they did. Woohoo! Is it really working?
Yeah. We are now at the point where we can start to build the actual graphical user interface and think about how to arrange things on screen, how to show the information that we receive from the device.
In order to turn this into a proper product, we needed to restart some things from ground up, because that prototype from November is just that, a prototype, and it doesn't scale very well. So now we switched to a more capable ARM-based processor, and I'm getting familiar to it, but it's quite complex. Now we're both looking forward to start work on the actual editor where you can put together these lighting sequences. And it's also about time to connect some LEDs up to that board, because so far it has only been a bare metal processor communicating successfully. But that's not very exciting, isn't it? Originally, I intended this lightboard project to be my main job this year and focus on the movie otherwise. But as I said, things turned out differently, and all of a sudden I got quite a few rather big commissions for stop-motion armatures. So that's really nice. It's interesting projects which I'm excited to work on, and it will also yield at least 2 interesting YouTube videos, I'm sure of that, but it's just not leaving me much time for anything else right now. So the first commission I'm going to tell you about right now is just a very big order in my online shop at vfkinetics.de. It's just standard parts, you could say, articulated hand, armatures, arms and rigs, nothing too exciting. But the exciting part is that it's a perfect opportunity for me to revisit those articulated hand armatures. All the versions I've built so far have been not perfect. They have been flawed one way or another. I tried out different things, but I never had the resources to develop them to perfection. So I spent quite some time in February redesigning those articulated hand armatures from scratch. I now have a parametric 3D model of them. That means that I can enter the lengths of the various fingers, and the model will automatically adjust in the correct proportions, which is extremely helpful for customization. And then I'm looking to optimize the manufacturing of them, and also trying to incorporate some quite advanced manufacturing techniques for the palms, which have a very complex geometry, which is very hard to mill or create manually. And so right now I'm looking into direct metal casting, or even metal printing with selective laser sintering. So that's quite exciting, and I'm not going into a lot of details right now, because I plan a dedicated video just on the development of those hand armatures. Besides this, nearly 200 arms have been ordered, so Maurice is helping me with the lathe. A very good opportunity for him to get used to the machine, which will be quite helpful in the future as well. And it's a lot of soldering for me and polishing, but also a good opportunity to streamline the production process, because doing a big quantity is usually the best opportunity to figure out the best way how to do things most efficiently. And same goes for quite a few rigs which have been ordered, and I've been drilling all those really long holes through these rods, which is always challenging. And then I also redesigned those ball connector pieces, so the rigs can be connected to normal rigs. So we've been playing factory for a while basically, but now I think around 3/4 are done. And next month we're hopefully also going to finish the articulated hand armatures, which are the most exciting part of this. In preparation for that commission, I also finished a little tool for my lathe, which I wanted to get done for a long time, and that's a solid tool post for boring operations on the cross slide. An idea I got from Stefan Gotteswinter, an amazing YouTube channel dedicated to precision machining, links in the description. So I basically machined a big chunk of steel and connected it to my cross slide, and then drilled a hole directly on the lathe, so it's perfectly on center. And then this tool allows me to connect a normal boring head to the cross slide, which enables really quick tool changes between boring and turning operation, and also allows us to use the DRO to measure the depth of holes really precisely, which is quite useful if you have to do hundreds of arms and drill a lot of holes into balls and such like that. So that's quite a useful tool. And it also has a connector for a magic arm. Those are these camera arms. And this allows me to have my camera hovering above the workpiece in the lathe without blocking my eyesight. And this allows me now to do really nice close-up shots of turning operations on the lathe, which will come in handy in the future, I'm sure of that. And lastly, some heartwarming news about the robot kits. I have received quite a few images from some of the subscribers, and it seems the robots have found quite nice new homes. This one traveled a lot, and the person also took the effort to try making little animations, which is really nice. This one ended up in a particularly interesting location. Do you recognize that background? And as it happens, the same one also made it back to me to visit his brother in my own workshop, because that one belonged to András, and he brought it with him when he visited. Now this journey is finally completely over. All the robots are assembled and found their new homes. And so I think it's about time for the last exciting news about this topic. Thing is, when I manufactured them, I fully anticipated that some of the parts might be lost in transit, especially as I shipped most of them internationally. And so I prepared by having 2 spare components for each of the parts. And indeed, I needed a few of them. Some packages got lost and I needed to replace a few feet and arms, but luckily no of the critical components, like no of the heads or housings, got lost. So I was able to reproduce the missing components and put together 2 complete robot kit sets. So I designed this dedicated wooden box from laser cut plywood, and all the parts have their dedicated compartments where they fit in perfectly, and it's just so satisfying to open this box and seeing all the parts I made. Of course, this is now the ultimate luxurious edition with those boxes, and yeah, if you're interested to support my work and own one of the last 2 remaining kits, then please write me an email. Quick disclaimer, they will be a bit more expensive than the original kits, mostly because of the wooden boxes, which were quite tedious to design and also expensive to order them. Yeah, for me that's a really satisfying ending, because I was afraid I would just end up with a few spare components, but having 2 complete sets is really satisfying, especially presented in that way, and I'm really optimistic that they will also find a nice new home. So yeah, thank you so much for your support and for joining me on my projects and everything. It's greatly appreciated. So I'll keep you updated and see you next time again. Bye bye.